wanted to ask you about your phone call with Secretary of State from Georgia, Brad Raffensperger. Is that how you pronounce it?
Ben Roethlisberger, that's who we were
Not
talking to,
Ben Roethlisberger plays quarterback for the Steelers.
which is why he shouldn't be the Secretary of State of a state. It's like you've got enough of a job, sir. And I call him sir sarcastically. I don't mean it.
Do you really think you're talking to Ben Roethlisberger of the Steelers, the quarterback? You know,
Well,
it's
ever
different.
since ever since I didn't have powerful sex with Stormy Daniels, he wanted to have sex with her. He was very interested in Stormy Daniels. And I know, even though we're friends, I think he was very jealous of me, even though I didn't have any relations with her whatsoever. He was very jealous. And I think that's kind of made him want to help steal the election. And like I said, being a quarterback is a very strong job. It's a tough job and it's very busy. To then be a secretary of state in a totally different state is sort of insanity.
It is because it's not true. These are two different people.
Oh,
These people. One is Ben Roethlisberger. One is Brad Raffensperger. They sound.
well, okay, right. You say that like, oh, look, I'm pronouncing it differently. We know it's the same person. We know. We know very strongly it's the same person. Audiogram.
Yeah. It really does sound the same when I try to make it sound different. Can you tell me about the phone call though? Because people heard the phone call and it
People heard it. And guess what it was? A perfect phone call. Another perfect phone call for your president. And by the way, you know what we should really be talking about? What's the real crime? Who,
tampering with the election.
who records a phone call with a great president? That's
A
that's so
fan, a
low
big fan.
class. That's so low class and disgraceful. And we're gonna have people look into very strongly into why Ben Roethlisberger was taping a powerful presidential phone call.
I don't think the reason why Brad, I think, was taping the phone call was the exact reason what the results were because you're trying to tamper with the election, Mr. President. And what's going to happen is that I
Let me
think,
ask you a question.
yes, you're
Let's
telling him to
say,
find votes. You were saying
excuse
telling him to
me,
find
excuse
votes.
me,
Yeah.
excuse me,
Yes.
excuse me,
Hmm.
excuse me. Let's say somebody burns down your house, okay?
Okay.
And then the cops show up and they do an investigation. Would you say they're tampering with your right as a homeowner, or are they trying to help you?
You were not.
Excuse me, can you answer the presidential question, please?
They're investigating. They're doing an investigation. That's
So
what
would you
police
say
officers
that
do.
they are? Would you say, "Get off my property"? You're tampering with my freedom.
I could.
Is that what you would say?
No, because I
Thank
wouldn't say
you.
that.
No, excuse me. Now I'm talking. I am trying. It's called helping. Okay. We live in a country where you have to vote, and legal votes have to count, and fake, nasty Democratic votes have to not count. And that's all I'm trying to do.
Do you think you came off strong on the phone call and powerful and great?
Can I tell you how I came off on the call?
Yes.
Very strongly.
Of course you did. No.
Because it was a perfect phone. It's called a perfect phone call. You think they would have learned from Ukraine. I don't make many phone calls that aren't perfect phone calls, and this one was very strongly perfect.
Now, I have to ask you because last week we learned about what a very strongly letter looks like. What would a very strongly phone call look like compared to a strongly phone call?
Well, you know how you make a phone call? You make phone calls, right?
I do.
It's
What would
called
that be?
that's a weak phone call.
Okay.
When I make a regular phone call, it's automatically strong because I'm on the phone. A strong
Gotcha.
phone call for me is a just what people who are normal would call a phone call. I do them strongly.
Okay.
When I'm having a very strong phone call, what that means is I put it on speakerphone and I walk around the office very powerfully. And when I'm done with the phone call, I punch the phone and it breaks. And then they have to order a new phone call. So this was a very strong phone call.
How many very strong phone calls would you say you make in a week?
Four,
So you break 4 phones a week?
eight. So I will correct that and say, I'm being modest. It's called being modest. I didn't want to brag about how many very strong phone calls I have, but let me tell you something. Eight, which is almost as many days in a week.
It's more
It's
days in
more
a
what?
week. More days.
Oh,
That 8 is more. There's 7 days in a week.
well, remember the show, Eight is Not Enough?
Yes.
Okay, then.
Okay. Did you enjoy that show?
Which show?
8 is never enough. Eight
I
is
don't know
not
that.
enough.
I don't know
Eight
that
is not
show.
enough. Is that what it's called? 8 is not enough.
I don't know. I was more of a Baywatch fan.
Okay. Who was your favorite lifeguard on Baywatch?
Mike, David Hasselhoff. Okay. Mike, our great vice president, is a big Hasselhoff fan.
Uh,
For me, I think, well, no, it would be Erica Eleniak. And I say that because she came out of that cake in Under Siege with the great Steven Seagal very powerfully with very big breasts.
that was a great scene.
I think
Under
it's one of the
Siege.
great scenes in movie history.
All of the movies.
In all of movies, when she comes out, she's like drunk in the cake and she
Mm-hmm.
busts out of the cake and is, uh, is they don't make movies like that anymore, do they? They certainly don't.
Have you ever met her?
Oh,
I don't know the actress's name, but the one from Baywatch you're talking about who jumped out of the cake in Under Siege.
who did that?
Have you ever met her? You're a very powerful man. I was wondering if you met her.
Oh,
You.
well, I know I'm me, but what did I do
Have you
other
ever
than be
met that
great?
actress? Have you ever met that actress? Have you ever spent time with her? Or you've
I've
met a
spent
lot of
time with a
people?
lot. Excuse me. I've spent time with a lot of actresses.
Her. Have
More
you?
than you. More than you.
All right. Mr. President, you are on